I got hired at a daycare. I was just handed a horrifying list of rules. I love little kids, so getting an opportunity to work with kids wouldn't only look good on my resume, but it really matched up with what I wanted to do with my life. My new uniform came in an envelope talking about what to expect and the rules for the staff, which I set to the side, figuring they wouldn't have anything too unexpected. But rather than being a quaint, cheery building with colorful swings and laughing children, it was quite plain, with whitewashed brick and no windows. The front doors were painted black, and when I tried to open them, there wasn't so much as a twitch. For a second, I panicked. Was I not at the right building? Did I get the address wrong? Was I about to walk into some kind of drug den? You didn't read the rules, did you? I nearly jumped out of my skin as I turned around, but my fear quickly turned to relief as I saw a guy wearing black pants and a white polo shirt with an oak tree insignia on the chest, the uniform for Little Garden. I laughed. I skimmed them. I was too excited to sit down and focus. Right. Clock in, get into the red room, and read them again. Slowly. Thoroughly. Otherwise, you're not going to last. The door opened and the guy let me enter first before shutting the door the moment he was through. The look he gave me before he took off for a door marked with a green circle. It was like he expected me to fail. The red room was clearly the one marked by the red square, and once inside I felt the hair on my arm stand up on end. Sure, it looked fairly normal. The carpet was clean. There was a table covered in crayons. Toys were scattered along the left side of the room, but pure instinct had me already on guard. There were already 5 children there, being looked after by another staff member, a girl my age, and someone wearing a floor-length black dress, clearly not a staff member, so I assumed a parent. She turned around and headed for the door, so I smiled and waved as she went by. The glare she gave me was ice cold. I flinched and waited to move until she left the room. The other girl bounced up to me, shaking her head. You really are the fresh meat, aren't you? I'm Marcy. Sit down for a sec, start reading the rules, I'll handle morning time. How are there so many kids here already? I asked. Marcy huffed. Just read the rules. That'll explain everything. Okay, everybody who wants to sing our daycare song? The children cheered, and I plopped myself down in a chair that was meant for a much smaller posterior, resigning myself to reading these darn rules already. I pulled the papers from my bag and started reading. Welcome to Little Garden Childcare. We're so happy you've been chosen to join our family. Before you come into work next week, please read this letter thoroughly so you know what to expect at your new place of employment. 1. Every day you should bring these things with you to work. A good attitude. The ability to love all children that come through our doors, no matter who they are or where they come from. Your uniform? A white polo shirt with our oak tree insignia on the chest. Black slacks, white socks, running shoes. An emergency whistle and a big smile. An emergency whistle? Well, I could already tell where I'd messed up. I hadn't gotten a whistle with my uniform. How embarrassing. Although why I would need a whistle was beyond me. I was about to read again until I was interrupted by what sounded like Marcy having a stroke. But then I realized not only were the children singing along, they were singing the same nonsense words. It made my skin crawl. Marcy continued to sing and look at the kids while pointing at my paper, telling me to keep reading. Eat too. Every morning we'll be singing the daycare's official song. The lyrics are stapled to the back. The verses in Latin will be hard at first, but don't worry. We'll make sure you don't make a mistake. Latin? An upper-class fancy daycare might teach that, but one like this? It just seemed so out of place. I kept reading, glancing up now and again. 3. The night staff are not to be disturbed outside an emergency. If you need to summon them, the whistle will not be enough. Leave the room and open the metal panel on the wall. Press the black button inside for 5 seconds. A member of the night staff will be with you in just a moment. The night staff? Had that been the woman in the black dress when I entered? The song ended and the kids started milling about. 3 of them immediately started this make-believe game with toy dinosaurs while the others went for the dollhouse. Marcy looked up at me and mouthed, "Keep reading." 4. Please do not be alone with any of the children assigned to the green room. Always have at least one other employee with you at all times. If they insist on leaving the room with you, blow your whistle. 5. On that note, do not be afraid to use the whistle. It's better to be safe than sorry. Jesus Christ, what was wrong with these kids? Special needs was one thing, but it sounded almost like they were dangerous. I looked up at the ones at the dollhouse. While 2 of them were preoccupied with the dolls themselves, the third was looking at me. He smiled and I shivered. Something just wasn't right. Maybe it was how when he blinked, one eyelid was just slightly slower, or how his teeth were just a little too straight. I told myself to stop it. I was being ridiculous. These were just children. I was just thrown off by the weird morning I was having. I continued to read. 6. A child may look different depending on the time of day. That's okay, it's nothing to be concerned about. 7. Roughhousing playfighting is not allowed. Childish rivalry is to be expected among such variety, but a playful smack one moment can turn into stitches the next. 8. Do not befriend any of the night staff. They are not here to be your friends. Well, that explained the glares. Day 1 and I was already breaking rules left and right, even if they made exactly 0 sense. 9. If a child bites you, immediately alert another employee and head into the adult decontamination room. If the biter is a child from the red room, wash the wound with soap and water, cover it, and return to work. If the biter is a child from the blue room, wash the wound with soap, water, and the contents of the glass bottle labeled #824 before returning to work. If the biter is a child from the yellow room, wash the wound with soap, water, and the contents of the glass bottle labeled #410 before going home for the rest of the day. Don't worry, you'll be paid for the entire workday. If you are bitten by a child from the green room, take immediate action. Leave the room to discourage swarming behavior. Have another employee apply pressure to the wound. Call the number for Alex. It should be written down next to the decon phone. Wait for Alex. Do not take pressure off the wound. Remain in the decontamination room no matter what you hear outside. Now I felt sick. Sure, I might have been assigned to the red room today, but what if I was moved to the yellow room tomorrow? Or the green room where you couldn't be alone with the kids because God knows what'll happen if you do. I glanced at the door. I needed this job. But was it worth it? Was I in danger here? I glanced at the next rule on the list, wondering if it would be the one that said, "Psych, this is all a joke played on the new employees." 10. Make sure to keep count of the children under your care. If you are missing a child, notify your employees and search the property. If you have an extra child, stop. Count again. If there is still an extra child, leave the room. Do not go back in without a member of the night staff. Wait. I looked up from the list and counted the children. 3 boys playing with dinosaurs, 2 girls and a boy playing with the dollhouse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That wasn't right. There were only 5 children when I'd entered and no one else had come in after me. Count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my God. Marcy? I tried getting her attention, but she quite literally just waved me off as she was focused on tying the shoe of one of the dinosaur-playing boys. Well, the rules were rules. Breaking into a sprint, I barreled my way out the door looking for a metal panel on the wall. I ran to it and ripped it open. I smashed my thumb against the black button and waited. I didn't hear her approach, but when I turned around, there was the woman I'd seen before. She towered over me, her blank eyes staring down at me. Then I heard a voice, her voice, but her lips didn't appear to move. "What is the emergency?" I swallowed. There's 6 kids in the red room now. There was only 5 when I went in," I stammered. The woman glanced to the room, still expressionless. She seemed to glide to the door, entering without making a single sound. Seconds ticked by. Minutes. It was nearly half an hour when the woman exited, 5 children following obediently behind her. I noticed the boy that was getting his shoe tied by Marcy was nowhere to be seen, and neither was Marcy. "Where is she?" I asked. The woman sighed. She miscounted. It was a costly mistake. Remember Rule 0. Rule 0? Why would there be a Rule 0? She handed me back my list of rules. I'd left it behind on the kids' table without thinking. As the night staff herded the children away, I looked at the paper and saw it was hidden in the margins of the paper. 0. Messes will happen. The janitor's closet will have everything you need to handle cleanup, from Clorox wipes to a biological waste incinerator to take care of any messes made throughout the day. My heart dropped. I was worried about Marcy. Where was she now? Was she okay? I opened the door just slightly and I almost threw up. I think the night guard wants me to clean up the mess in there. Clean up whatever happened to Marcy.